Okay, we are live. All right, welcome everyone to our third PEO presentation of AYP's webinar series on Southeast Asian business expansion anytime, anywhere with our PEO or EOR. My name is Dan and I'll be your facilitator for today. Well, while we are waiting for most of our audience to come into our room, I would like to ask some questions for us to know you better. You can respond via poll that I'll be creating. Okay? So, all right. Okay, so here is the first question. I would like to know which country are you from? Okay, so you can choose if you're from Singapore, Philippines, India, Australia, United States, Japan, Hong Kong, China, or United Kingdom. And also you can choose if you're on the other countries as well. Okay, I can see most of you guys are from the Philippines. We do also see some audience from other countries as well. All right, I am ending the poll now at 3, 2, 1. So here is the result of our poll. So 50% of our audience are from the Philippines, and the rest, 50% as well, are from the other countries. Welcome, guys, to our webinar, which we will tackle about the PEO or EOR services here in the Philippines. All right, so let's proceed with our next question. I would like to know, which department are you from? Are you from management, human resource, payroll, finance, or others? Okay, I can see most of you guys are from the payroll. So you can choose if you're from management as well, or in human resource, or in finance, or even on other departments you're from. Okay. All right, I'm ending the poll now at 3, 2, 1. So here is the result. So most of our audience actually are in the payroll department. Okay, this topic about the PEO and the EOR, I believe that it will help you a lot, and you will learn something new on how the PEO works here in the Philippines when it comes to your payroll. All right, so let's proceed with our next question about the HR challenges. So this is a multiple choice. So you can choose which are the top 3 most challenging HR functions to manage. All right. So you can choose if you're having challenges from HR planning, payroll and tax administration, recruitment, HR operations and compliance, employee benefits, mobility and relocation, compensation and claims, or work pass management. All right, I can see, okay. All right, I can see most of you guys having challenges when it comes to payroll and tax administration, also in the employee benefits as well, recruitment, HR operation, compliance, compensation and claims, and work pass management. All right, I am ending the poll now at 3, 2, 1. So here is the result. So the majority of the challenges that we are having right now when it comes to HR functions is payroll and tax administration, followed by the employee benefits and also the work pass management, recruitment, and HR operations and compliance, and compensation and claims. Well, I just want to share with you guys about this research that has been made. So, based on a report research by the Society of Human Resource Management, also known as SHRM, so ranked first in the challenges and or difficulties in managing that we are having right now is the recruitment, which rate as 69%, followed by HR planning, which ranked second with 44%, and lastly is on the rank third is the HR operations and compliance, which 48%. But this is just for now. After next 10 years, it will be changed because of the what we are encountering right now of the pandemic of COVID-19. So the HR operations and compliance will be ranked first at the rate of 48%. And this, with the help of the PEO or EOR services, it will be a big help for us businesses when it comes to managing with the HR operations and compliance. All right, so that is the report research from the Society for Human Resource Management, also known as SHRM. All right, so that is just few sharing with you guys. All right, so let's proceed with our next question. All right, I would like to know, which do you think will be most challenging for businesses entering the Southeast Asia market? So you can choose from HR and payroll operations, different legal systems, raising capital and funding, unique business center of cultures, work pass management, local competition, supply chain risk, operation risk, and hiring staff. All right, so you can choose. All right, I can see most of the guys are having a challenging with the different legal system, also work pass management and supply chain risk. Okay, I am ending the poll now at 3, 2, 1. And here is the result. So all of them are tied at 33%. So the challenging for businesses entering Southeast Asia market is different legal systems, also with a work pass management and supply chain risk. Okay, let's proceed with our last question. I would like to know how much do you understand about PEO or EOR? So you can choose if you know it very well, or average if you heard it or you've seen it, but you want to know more about the PEO, or totally no idea. This is the first time that you heard about the PEO and EOR. Okay, so I can see most of you guys already voted with our poll, and I'm ending the poll now at 3, 2, 1. Okay, so here's the result. So the majority is no idea. This is the first time that you guys heard about the PEO or EOR. So this is the best chance or opportunity for you guys to learn about how the PEO works here in the Philippines. And also for the average, we will give you more information, more knowledge for you to better understand how the PEO works, and also same with the to our audience that they know very well about the PEO or EOR here in the Philippines. Okay, all right. So I can see most of our audience are already here in our room. So let's proceed with our presentation. But first, let me introduce myself again. My name is Dan, and I'll be your facilitator for today. So once again, welcome everyone to our third PEO presentation of AYP's webinar series on Southeast Asian business expansion anytime, anywhere. So for today's topic is high-speed entry into Philippines with PEO or EOR services. So we will be recovering, or you will learn what is PEO, and we will look into some details on how it can help your businesses. So before we move for today's presentation, I would like to clear some housekeeping issues quickly, okay? As a matter of introduction, this webinar series has been prepared by our company, AYP Group. We are an HR tech and services company, and our headquarters is located in Singapore. We are very well positioned with a regional presence that continues to grow in the ASEAN region, particularly across Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, and Hong Kong. So moving on, as a disclaimer, this webinar series is intended to share with our audience some basic knowledge on PEO services and how it can help your businesses enter into country's market. It is not intended to convey any professional advice. You may, however, contact AYP Group directly if you are looking for more in-depth information or tailored advice for your needs. Well, so for today's focus is about PEO. We will avoid sidetracking into unrelated HR issues. However, if you have any questions regarding payroll services, you may look at our previous webinar series on ASEAN payroll. At the end of this presentation or session as well, we will be having a short question and answer. Please use the Q&A feature at any time during this webinar session to ask your question. It is located at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Please click that button and throw your question and we will answer it right away. And also, you may like the questions that you wanted most so that it will be appear on the top and it will be the most popular question in our Q&A list. So it means you don't have to wait until the end of the presentation just to ask your question. Please feel free to ask your question anytime, okay? And for the recording, so the recording of this webinar will be made available after the session as well. If any one of you is experiencing any technical difficulties during this webinar, please drop us a note via the chat function. So it is located as well at the bottom of our Zoom screen. All right, so we are done with our disclaimer. So let's proceed with our presentation. Okay, so for today's presentation, it has been prepared by our Philippines PEO team. Our speaker is Mabel, who is our Philippines team HR and payroll executive. Mabel possesses in-depth knowledge of Philippines human resource policies where she provides HR consultation to new PEO clients. She also takes charge of onboarding and offboarding for new PEO clients and contractors. She also secures connections and lastly, customer support. All right, without further ado, I will hand this over to Mabel to share with you for today's presentation and for our audience. Please enjoy your presentation. I believe that you will learn more about the PEO with this presentation. Okay, Mabel, I will give you the floor right now.
Thanks very much for that very kind and warm introduction, Dan. Thank you guys for joining us on AYP's PEO webinar session, Philippines edition. Once again, my name is Mabel. I am one of the HR consultants in the Philippines, specifically handling PEO. So today we will be discussing a little bit about PEO, what it is about, why you should be using a PEO service, as well as the WIFIMs with using a PEO service. Of course, we will be discussing also the scopes of service or what we can do for you with this partnership. And we will be touching a little bit about the Philippine local regulations, what types of contracts we can offer your candidates, as well as the labor laws, employee benefits, as well as work permits. If you're actually hiring or bringing over an expat or a foreign national into the Philippines. And lastly, of course, we will cap it up with our success stories to give you a brief idea on a day or at least a life cycle of a PEO account with AOIP. And we'll give you also a research that we are able to retrieve or obtain regarding benefits of handling or having a PEO service. Okay? Alrighty, so first of all, if you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to hit that Q&A button at the bottom or at the top of your Zoom screen, and I will either respond to you or my chat team will respond to you accordingly. Okay? Alrighty, so let's see. What is PEO? So PEO is also known as EOR, or employer of record. So this is basically, if you're considering expanding your business to another country, or in this case, Philippines, you may be unsure as of yet whether it's the right direction for your company, but you would like to see the local scene, understand, or at least observe more about the Philippine market. Then this is actually a very good or a perfect setup for you. What we can do as AYP is we can actually offer you to park your employees here in our company. Administration of HR and payroll will be owned by us, as well as the local or the legal compliances, while you as our client actually handle and take care of more strategic, tactical, as well as any direction or focus with your employee. So we'll take away all the administrative stuff, and then you can focus more on the strategic items. Okay, so how does it work? Right, so there are actually three facets here. The PEO, that's us, AYP, and of course the client, that's you, and also the employee or the candidate. Okay, so what we can do as the employment of record is we will handle, like I mentioned on the previous slide, the HR services, payroll, and benefits administration, as well as the taxation with any payroll or salary related in disbursement. And along with that, of course, we will make sure that we take care of being the employer in the Philippines or locally, as well, and also be compliant legally. So this part, you don't have to do your research and whatnot, because we already have that ready for you. You just have to let us know what it is that you need to provide your employees, and we'll set it up, and we're good to go. Okay? And now, as a client, what we need from you is, of course, direction. Same with the employee. So this will definitely come from you, along with the compensation decision, like I mentioned. So it's like, hey, AYP, I want this employee, this new hire to have this kind of allowance and this kind of salary, and I want this kind of stipulation onto the contract. Then we'll actually set it up, and we'll give you expert advice regarding whether it is something doable or it's something that we need to revise a little bit so that it will be legally compliant. Okay, and lastly, of course, for client task or responsibility is performance review. This is actually so that you can you will still evaluate rather the employee, whether it is still in your best interest to proceed or continue on with the existing contract and renew them, or end the contract and replace them with a different or a new employee. Okay, lastly, of course, is the employer, the candidate. So the employee actually has now two people that they'll be communicating with, or two organizations. First is AYP. This is for all local related HR needs. So whether it's government statutory assistance, whether it's like salary disbursement, or even like HR service, like such as certificate of employment, these types of items. These are some things that we definitely will assist them with. And with the client side, then the employee will have to communicate with you regarding understanding better about the quota, what it is that you need for the year in order for you guys or for your company to meet the target or exceed it. Okay, so that's basically how it works in the PEO services scene. Okay, what are the benefits? So what's in it for you? Well, basically, having a PEO service is actually a very quick as well as compliant entry into the Southeast Asia markets. Why? Because number one, it's worry-free for regarding the HR administration, legalities, even the work pass supports. These items you just hand over to us. We take care of it. You don't have to worry about it. Then we inform you about the needs or what are the necessary documents as well as with the candidates. Then we can proceed with the onboarding. So once they're onboarded, payroll and tax management, you don't even have to worry about it. You don't have to hire anybody just so that you can meet the minimum or the legal requirements for payroll as well as the tax, because this is something that we will own for you. Okay, so this is basically the benefits or some of the benefits of using a PEO service in the Philippines. Okay, alrighty. So what can we do for you as a PEO service provider? Okay, so these are actually some of the items that we can provide you. If there are some items though that you're thinking of, or that if you have an idea that you'd like to include, then definitely it's something that we can discuss during our contract initiation process. Okay, so first and foremost, during the life cycle of a PEO service, of course, local employment will be owned by AYP, meaning that's onboarding, contract, generation, as well as setting up the payroll. So these types of items we will take care of. Similarly, of course, offboarding will be owned by AYP. Okay, so once, if we are hiring an expat or a foreign national on your behalf, then that means, of course, we will take care of the work pass application for you. So from the work permit as well as the appropriate visa that goes with which work permit, then this is something that we will take care of for you and make sure that everything is legally compliant in the Philippines. Right? And of course, another very important item that's worth mentioning about is actually our insurance coverage service. So as you know, with the recent pandemic situation, we do have very, very highly invested interest in making sure that all our employees are covered as well as healthy in the Philippines. Hence, we provide the health insurance service, and of course, in other cases, we can also help provide you with the life insurance, or one of the more popularly increasing interest of many companies in the market, the mutual fund or the retirement fund. So, for these types of items, just let us know if you're interested. Then we can definitely include or exclude that on the contract generation. Okay, so next, we do have, of course, benefits and claims submissions. So this is actually two parts. Part one is government-related benefits, claims, and submissions. So that includes loans, like salary loans, calamity loans, or even something like a maternity leave or even maternity benefit claims and submissions. So this is the government part. We can help you with the forms. We can help you with the submissions as needed. And then if you have any other questions regarding, what are the next steps and whatnot, definitely this is something that we know and we can assist your employees with. Okay, the other part of benefits claims and submissions is, of course, as a remote employer and your employees being on the move here, if you're hiring like a field officer or an employee, then definitely there could be some incidentals, expenses, right? Then this is something that we can definitely take care of for you. We do have our own in-house software or system that we will provide you. It's called the Just Talent. So the employee can just submit the claims for reimbursement, and then the hiring manager then will receive a notification and they can approve real time. Once everything is duly approved, then all of the claims for reimbursements will go through the payroll services without any other intervention, so to speak. Okay, so once we're done with that, of course, we go to the payroll services. What does it mean? We will take care of salary computation, tax computation, even like the government statutory benefits computations, as well as the filing and submissions. And then, of course, we will disburse the funds or the salary over to the employees. So these types of things we will take care of for you. You don't have to worry about that. We will make sure that everything is legally compliant and computation is accurate, so that at least at the end of the year, for the year-end taxes, there's no need for you to think about it. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to strategize or think of who you will have to hire regarding the computation or submission of your tax at the end of the year, because this is something that AYP will take care of for you. Okay, so these are the basic items or the package basically that we offer our clients for AYP service, PEO services. All right, so local employment, work pass application, insurance coverage, benefits claims and submissions, payroll services, and year-end tax. All righty, so on the oncoming slides, we'll be talking about how the legalities are in the Philippines, what types of contracts, like I mentioned on the first, during the introduction, as well as the work permits and the benefits, the usual or the standard benefits that comes with a particular contract. Okay, so please do bear with me. The next slides are a little bit word heavy because of the type of this topic that we will be discussing, but I assure you that with our discussion, you will be able to kickstart your knowledge of the Philippine legalities or regulations. Okay. Alrighty, let's see. All right, so what types of contracts do we have here in the Philippines? So we do have two types of contracts that we offer here at AYP. First is the employment contract. This is actually the most commonly used type of contract in the corporate scene. This is basically just a document that is signed by both the employer and the employee or the candidate. It shows you the terms and conditions of services, so to speak, as well as the compensation and benefits. So, you'll have there the remuneration, whether you are eligible for overtimes and whatnot. This is, of course, the type of contract that is built based on the Department of Labor and Employment's handbook, or the more commonly known as the labor law. Okay, and this type of contract is also offered for employees with indefinite end date, or the permanent type of contract. So if you know that you are hiring for long term, this is something that we will offer you. Now, if of course, as a company, sometimes you only need a certain individual or a certain headcount for a short period. For short-term projects, or even like up to 2 years only because of a specific need or whether it's seasonal or something, right? So we do have the consultancy type of agreement or contract for that. So what this means is basically it's an agreement or a document that is signed between a business and a consultant who's willing to work based on the service that they can offer you. Okay, so it's used we are using this actually for companies on a fixed budget. So for example, companies just willing or would like to just pay a certain individual a fixed amount of 50,000 pesos per month, then this is the type of contract for you. If you have somebody coming to the Philippines, or at least working for you for only 6 months or even like a year or two, then this is something that you may be interested in utilizing as a contract. Okay, so these are the two types of contracts. On the next slides, we'll be talking a little bit more about the laws. What do we need to adhere to based on the type of contract? Okay, alrighty. So labor laws, my favorite. So for employment type of contract, this is just like what I mentioned on the previous slide. It's built based on the labor code. So it means there's a minimum working hours. In this case, there's a minimum of 40 working hours per week that we need to adhere to. There are overtime rates applicable in excess of 8 hours per day of work. Night differential will be applicable also if the employee is working at night. So there are certain like hours that we can further discuss during our contract generation process in the future. And of course, we do have the holiday pay. So if you have an employee that you may need to come to work during the local Philippine holiday, then the holiday pay, or the double pay as it's more popularly known, or the 30% in holiday pay will be applicable in this case. Right? And of course, with the employment contract comes the probationary period. So the probationary period here means that you can place your employees for up to like a maximum of 6 months probationary period. It could be shorter, of course. There can be like an early regularization status, these kinds of things. But the probationary period itself should not exceed 6 months. Okay, and last of the key items of note in having an employment type of contract is this type of contract requires, as mandated by the law, the provision of the 13th month bonus or 13th month pay. So that's the computation will be, of course, explained to you further on during our sessions, but it is actually mandatory for this type of contract, as well as the retirement benefits, provided that your employee meets the prerequisite guidelines. Okay, so these are the mandatory items, some of the mandatory items according to the labor law. Now, moving on to the consultancy type of contract. What does this entail? This type of contract actually is the most flexible type of contract that we have, meaning salary, like I mentioned on the previous slide, it can be a fixed rate. If it's just 50,000, it's just 50,000. We can do that. Or 100,000, then that's fine. Or even 10,000 pesos, something like this. As long as there is a mutual agreement between the business, that's you, AYP, that's us, and of course the candidate, okay, so, or the incoming employer consultant. Okay, the compensation, of course, can be mirrored with that of the employment type of contract. So what's the difference here? If it can be mirrored with the consultancy type of contract, you can actually choose to just provide or offer them like the 13th month equivalent computation to the 13th month bonus of an employment contract, but not the overtime rates, night differential, and what have you. So that's the flexibility of this kind of contract. All right. So these are the labor laws. Moving on. Okay, so let's go to the work permits. So we're able to build now your your contract for your employee. We're able to discuss like the legalities. Let's move on to when or if you need to bring over a foreign national or an expat into the Philippines. What is needed? There are actually two types, two things. Number one is the work permit. Number two is the visa. So first is, of course, when we need to have the foreign national fly into the Philippines first before we can apply these items. So it's a little bit upside down compared to some of the other countries in the world. So first, if you have an urgent need to have your foreign national work as soon as they land or sooner, then we will apply for a provisional work permit or PWP or special work permit SWP depending on the profession. So this is actually like a special permit that is provided to the foreign national so they can start working as soon as it's approved. The difference between that and the Alien Employment Permit or AEP, the Alien Employment Permit, you cannot work without this Alien Employment Permit and the approval released by the Department of Labor and Employment. So these are actually two key items. You need to have them work right away. Then we go with a provisional work permit and once it's released, we will begin applying for the AEP for the foreign national. So of course, while we are applying for the PWP or SWP, the type of visa applicable for this is actually the 9A or temporary visa. This is more commonly known as the tourist visa. So however long the provisional work permit or the special work permit may be, so if it's up to 6 months, then we will apply 6 months worth of 9A temporary visa duration or validity. Okay, so this could be the perfect type of perfect type of permit or visa if you have a very short-term type of employer, project-based foreign national only. Now, if you actually have a foreign national who's actually working for more than 6 months, then we go with the Alien Employment Permit after applying the PWP or SWP, as well as the 9A visa. Then while we are actually waiting for the Alien Employment Permit, we will keep on applying for the temporary visa. Upon the release of the Alien Employment Permit, we will convert your visa into a non-resident or non-immigrant or 9G pre-arranged employment visa. So minimum of 1 year up to a maximum of like 4 years or 5 years as per the Bureau of Immigration. And of course, if your expat or foreign national needs to bring their spouse or their kids with them, then we definitely can also offer our assistance with that. So the duration of the dependent visa will not exceed that of the primary 9G visa holder. Okay, and of course, as with any government-related or government agency regulations or rules, the information stated here may be subject to change without prior notice. So if you have a need to actually go back and review this, please do not. I would highly recommend that you go to the government website, government agency website, for a more updated information. Alrighty, so we're almost there at the end of this session. So if you still have some questions that you want to ask, please don't hesitate to hit that Q&A button. Onto our customer success story. Actually, this company or this client of ours is very near and dear to me. Very proud to actually have assisted this from end to end of their PEO journey, as well as the beginning of their HRS journey with us. So we do have this client in the tech industry who has reached out to us way back in 2018. They wanted to set up their own, or they're thinking of setting up their own local entity in the Philippines, but they're not sure if it's the right time for them or if they're ready to do that. So we offered them actually the PEO service. so that they can focus on the strategic, understanding the market, the ins and outs, and whether it will be the best move for their company. So they parked their employees here with us, they did their own research, and finally, a year later, they decided that they will open their own company in the Philippines. So they gave us a heads up, hey, we finally decided we will set up our own local entity in the Philippines. So we're registering everything right now. Soon, we'll give you a heads up to convert our employees from the PEO service to in-house. So just recently, we actually just completed the transition to of these employees to in-house, back to them. Okay, and I'm very happy to say also that from PEO service, we retained this client and converted them into our HRS service. So what is HRS service? For those of you guys who actually have not been with us from the beginning of our webinar sessions here at AYP, our HRS service is basically our payroll outsourcing. So think of us as your payroll processors. We take care of your payroll, even disburse the salary for you, as well as take care of the government statutory benefit requirements, as well as the taxation. So this is actually a very painless way of making sure that you are locally compliant with the payroll, and also that no salary is delayed and whatnot. Okay, so let's see. Let's move on to the ROI, or what's in it for you. Okay, so we actually have come across this particular research made by Lori Bassi and Dan McMurray of McBassi and Company back in 2019. So they did their research trying to understand how big is the ROI in obtaining or having a PEO service, and they were able to get up to 27.2% of the annual cost savings when using a PEO service. This 27.2% comes through the HR personnel costs, the health benefits, workers' compensation, and even the unemployment insurance. So, imagine, this is actually quite a huge margin of savings, particularly with what is happening right now in the world, right? So if you are thinking of, that this may be the right move for you, but you still want to know more, please don't hesitate to reach out to us or hit that Q&A button. Okay? Alrighty, so that concludes our webinar session for today. I do appreciate you guys staying with me up to the end. Like I said, if you are very much interested in a partnership with AYP, please do not hesitate to reach out to us at ph@ayp-group.com or contact us on the numbers below, or just check out our website for all of our services. That's www.ayp-group.com or www.justtalent.com/phl. So justtalent.com is actually our software, our in-house software that we are offering now to all of our clients for their HRIS needs. All right, so once again, thank you so much. My name is Maybell, and have a great day.
All right. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that very informative presentation, Maybell. I'm pretty sure we all have some takeaways from this presentation. Okay, we had a number of questions that came in during the presentation, which we have yet to answer. Therefore, for the next part of this presentation or session, we will be taking and answering your question. As you may note, we have already answered some questions asked during the presentation in our attempt to answer most of your questions. But we have kept some general questions that we thought our audience may benefit from learning to answer it. So, Mabel, please help me to answer these questions from our audience. Okay. Uh, all right. So, first question from Avery Harper. Her question is, how does AWP support on work path management?
Yeah, actually, that's a very good question. That regarding workplace management, we actually provide end-to-end services that include
Mm-hmm.
acquisition of the work permits, as well
Mm-hmm.
as the visa application and conversion. So not
Mm-hmm.
only for the employee themselves, but of course, if we do have expats who wanted to bring their spouse or their kids with them, then we definitely can assist them about that.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Mabel. And thank you for our question center, Avery Harper. Thank you for that. And let's proceed with our next question. From our anonymous attendee, her question is there any mandatory insurance?
Hmm. A mandatory insurance. Well, we do have government mandatory insurance called the PhilHealth
Mm-hmm.
uh, in the Philippines, and also we do highly recommend that we uh, provide or obtain also the medical or HMO
Mm-hmm.
insurance services that AYP carries. This is to ensure that, of course, in case there's something health related need,
Mm-hmm.
they needed to go to the hospital or something, then they are definitely covered and they won't have to worry. They have peace of mind uh, as we go along. So,
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mabel, for that clear answer. All right. So we just need the. Uh, okay. So let's proceed with our last question. Okay. All right. So for our last question for our anonymous attendees, his question is, how do you handle claims and salary disbursement?
claims and salary. Actually, we have a very, very good and effective
Mm-hmm.
software, HRIS software called Just Talent. I believe I
Mm-hmm.
briefly touched on this on my presentation a while ago. So Just Talent has like 5 modules.
Mm-hmm.
We have the payroll processing system. We have the leave management, the timekeeping or the
Mm-hmm.
DTR. We also have like the claims and reimbursement system. So the processing is actually as easy as just 2 steps or 2 clicks on each per user,
Wow.
of course.
Mm-hmm.
The approval process can also happen real time.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So these can be interconnected. So
Mm-hmm.
how once claims is actually approved,
Mm-hmm.
then it can be included onto the current payroll cycle on the
Oh.
by our payroll processors.
Mm-hmm. All right, that sounds very good. Okay. Anyway, guys, for our audience, we also provide a free trial to our Just Talent solution. Please feel free to visit our website at www.justtalent.com/phl, and you can register or request for a demo so that we can provide you the services or solutions that you need. All right. So, okay. So we would have to end for today's session. For the questions that are unanswered, please rest assured as well, we will categorize the questions and follow up with an email later. You may also email us if you have any inquiries you may have, or if you would like to know how the PEO works services will help your businesses. And you can email us at ph@ayp-group.com. And also you can visit our website at www.ayp-group.com. And for the solution that we have mentioned just a while ago to manage your claims or reimbursement, leave processing the payroll, timekeeping, digital tool one, and also the leave management, please visit our website at www.justtalent.com/phl. All right. Okay. So thank you so much for sitting through our session for everyone, for our audience, and we hope that it has provided you with an insight on how you can enter Philippines using the PEO services. If you enjoyed our sessions today, please feel free to join our next webinar session of this series scheduled on July 2nd for the Indonesia. Next is for the Thailand session. That will be on July 7th and Vietnam on July 9th. Okay, thank you so much, and we look forward seeing you at our next episode of this series. Thank you so much, Mabel, for sharing your knowledge to us and to our audience, and for our audience as well. Thank you so much for joining us in this webinar. All right, take care, everyone. Have a
Thanks.
great day. Goodbye.
Thanks, guys.